I want to welcome you to this afternoon sitting.
On Tuesday, 5th December 2023, the leader of the opposition, Honorable Mathias Mpuuga, called for unconditional release of prisoners, including supporters of the National Unity Platform who have been in custody for periods longer than the 48 hours prescribed by the Constitution.
Non-trial of these cases is a clear indication of lack of evidence on the side of government and a red flag that these persecutions are intended to shrink the civic space further and criminalize association with the opposition in our country. The offense of subversive activities is non-existent, but several people are rotting in jail on account of the offense of subversive activities, which is not prescribed by law, Your Honour Speaker. We demand that, with the utmost urgency, the formation of a commission of inquiry to investigate these glaring human rights violations. We propose that the said commission of inquiry be chaired by a judge of the High Court. We believe that the commission will be endowed with the authority, independence, and resources necessary to uncover the truth, to hold those responsible accountable, and to ensure that justice prevails.
I do understand the concern of the leader of opposition that there are people who have exceeded the mandatory period on remand. Now, we need to work backwards. I can undertake to engage with the Chief Justice, with the Principal Judge, with the Chief Registrar, so that they find out,
that those offenses cannot,
and the Deputy Chief Justice, and the DPP. We shall work together as judiciary, work backwards, and see if there are people who have spent a period longer than they ought to on remand, then they will be released.
We are giving this responsibility to Human Rights Commission, and we will have a meeting with them before we give them the assignment. And they must report to this House, report to Parliament as prescribed by the law.
During the sitting, the Sugar Amendment Bill 2023 was tabled for first reading by the Minister of State for Trade, Industry and Cooperatives in charge of industry, Honorable David Bahati.
Government seeks to amend the Sugar Act 2020 to establish Uganda Sugar Industry Stakeholders Council. However, I also note that 4 years after the enactment of the Sugar Act, the Sugar Board, which was a creature of Section 13 of the Act, has never been established. However, the matter will be interrogated in the committee. So we will allow the Minister to bring the bill for the first reading, and then the rest will be interrogated in the committee. Honorable Minister.
I beg to move that the bill entitled the Sugar Amendment Bill 2023 be read the first time. And attached is a certificate of financial implications.
Honorable members, pursuant to Rule 1291 of the Rules of Procedure, the bill stands referred to the Committee of Trade, Tourism, Trade and Industry, and the 45 days provided in the Rule 1292 applies.
On Wednesday, 6th December 2023, Parliament approved supplementary funding worth 3.5 trillion shillings to cater for various government sectors, including the Ministry of Health.
The drivers of this supplementary and statutory expenditure are as follows. Number 1, payment for domestic obligations to Bank of Uganda, 2 trillion. As at June 2023, Madam Speaker, government owed the Central Bank Uganda shillings 4.8 trillion, which had accumulated from financial year 2019-20. Honorable colleagues, you will recall that in order to support the recovery of the economy from the slowdown brought about by COVID-19, government expenditure was expansionary in order to provide a fiscal stimulus to various sectors of the economy. However, government was not able to fully fund its expenditures. Accordingly, Bank of Uganda met government obligations on domestic debt redemptions. Now the economy is recovering, and given the prevailing macroeconomic conditions, it is important that the government pays off its obligation to the central bank.
The request was in two parts. Part 1 of Schedule 1 was supplementary expenditure within the allowed 3%. That was 1.574 trillion, and the one above 3%, 1.926 trillion, a total of 3.5 trillion. The committee recommends approval of 100.842 billion to Ministry of Health, broken down as follows: 2.7 billion for supervision costs for Lubowa Hospital, and the quarterly progress report submitted to Parliament. 22.934 billion for funding for medical interns. We have complained about medical interns many times. This is the money now for them.
I saw the chairperson changing in line with what the minority report was advising this House on. One, we thought it is not proper, Madam Speaker, for a minister to appear here with a request to a supplemental at the same time requesting to borrow. We really feel it is unfair to Parliament. It's like holding us to ransom. Now the Committee of National Economy gets no opportunity to analyze this kind of borrowing that comes when the Committee of Budget is the one that is approving and running this.
I put a question that a total sum of 3,492,924,343,890 shillings only be approved as a grand total of the supplementary expenditure schedule number 1 for financial year 2023-2024. Those in favor say aye. The contrary nay. The ayes have it.
In the sitting, Parliament authorized government to borrow up to $325 million from the International Development Association of the World Bank to finance the Uganda Climate Smart Agricultural Transformation Project.
The project development objective is to increase production, market access, and resilience of selected value chains in the project areas and facilitate prompt and effective response to crisis or emergency.
In order for the loan disbursements under the project component of promoting adoption of climate-smart agriculture technologies and practices to be triggered upon approval by Parliament, no withdrawal shall be made for competitive research, grants for community-level investments, to finance micro-projects and district-level investments, to finance strategic larger sub-projects that benefit several sub-counties and communities, unless and until the government has prepared and adopted the grants manual in form and substance acceptable to the World Bank. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries should ensure that the above loan disbursement conditions are timely fulfilled in order to trigger the timely disbursement of the loan credit for the project objectives to be met as planned. Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and the Ministry of Agriculture should ensure that all inefficiencies that affect the sufficient utilization, absorption of funds for debt finance projects in the agriculture sector are mitigated to guarantee the timely realization of the project development objectives and expected social and economic benefits.
Also in the sitting, Parliament approved government's request to borrow $150 million from the Export-Import Bank of China, aimed at connecting all districts that are not yet connected to the national internet fiber.
Government has been laying the fiber for us to access connectivity and internet, and we have so far covered about 50% of the country, and this loan is to enable us extend this backbone infrastructure to the rest of the country, the remaining districts.
The committee noted that although there has been relative investment in this sector, access to internet remains inadequate and highly priced. Government introduced ICT as a subject in all educational learning institutes, and accordingly to the schools have since been supplied with the computers to aid the learners get practical lessons. However, some schools have failed to effectively utilize computers due to inadequate internet connection. The committee recommends the National Information Technology Uganda should fast track extension of the internet services to the last served local governments and schools so as to enable the local governments transact business as well as bolstering effective learning of ICT lessons by learners in schools. This will increase effective utilization rate of the national backbone infrastructure, thus bringing the cost down.
We are adjourning the House to 13th, waiting December, waiting for the budget framework paper. And let 13th be 13th. House adjourned.